When people think about moving abroad or retiring abroad, the top two questions are, what is the cost of living? And what about healthcare? Welcome back to the channel. This is Sharma living in Grecia, sharing information about retiring in Costa Rica. As I have mentioned in previous videos, you have several options about healthcare. As an American, I still have my Medicare and go back to the United States for regular doctor's appointments. You also have options of private insurance, the universal healthcare system once you have established residency, a MetaSmart discount program in case of an emergency. You get a little bit of discount at regular doctor's office visits. Or you don't have to have health insurance at all. You just need to make sure you have plenty of money in the bank to take care of an emergency. So I am here with my friend Phil from Kansas City, and we are at a restaurant in Grecia where Americans and Canadians and Europeans meet once a week for lunch and share information that is helpful to one another. And Phil is going to tell you about the healthcare option that he chose and about an experience that he had so that we can all learn from that experience. So, Phil, tell us a little bit about what happened to you after you moved from Kansas City to Costa Rica.
Well, the healthcare.
Yeah.
I had been visiting Nicaragua, and I was on my way back in a taxi, and I had just crossed over the border, and I suddenly had a stuffy nose and kind of a scratchy voice. Kind of thought I had a cold going on, change of climate or something. And after 3 or 4 days of trying over-the-counter medicines, nothing was helping. I went to my doctor. He said, well, go get a chest x-ray to see if it's pneumonia. So I went and got a chest x-ray, and he looked at it, and my heart was enlarged. So he sent me directly to Grecia Hospital, which is the public healthcare hospital. I arrived there, met with a triage person. That didn't go real well. And then I ended up in a room full of maybe 100 people. Everyone's sick, kids, adults, all sick people. And they put me in a bed, just kind of in a corridor. And they began to put needles in me. And I was having a heart attack at that moment. And I said, are you going to take me to my room? And they said, no, this is your room for the next week. And I went, nope. And I got up and left. I got a taxi and went home. Went back to my doctor the next day, and he said, what are you doing here? And I said, I'm not going back to that hospital. So anyway, he ended up sending me to another hospital closer to San Jose, and it was a private hospital. There, the care was very good. I had a private room, very nice. They did a CT scan, and I was having a heart attack. And they said, we need to do this procedure. Now, I do not have health insurance, so I had a bag with me full of cash, $30,000 cash, and I had credit cards. So last thing I remember was going into surgery and going to sleep. And then the next thing I knew, there was 2 people waking me up demanding $50,000. Now I was in ICU. I had tubes in my mouth and needles in me and catheter things, and I could not speak. And I was deeply, deeply drugged from anesthesia. I did not know how long I had been out. I didn't know. I just didn't know what was going on because I was heavily drugged. I pointed at my bag. They got the bag, dumped all the cash out right on my bed in between my legs. and we tried to count it, but I kept falling asleep. I kept passing out, trying to count the money. I don't know what happened. All I know is they got my credit cards. They maxed all my credit cards out. They took all the cash. And I was just asleep. I was just asleep. Next thing I remember is the doctor who had done the procedure came in and woke me up. And he explained to me that the procedure was not complicated, it was very simple, and that I had overpaid the hospital. He said, "You gave them too much money." He said, "I don't want my reputation to be spoiled with this, and I don't want you to think I had anything to do with this, so I'll take care of this for you." I said, "Okay." Went back to sleep. Next thing I know, the two people who had taken my money are waking me up again, wanting $20,000 more. And I'm totally confused at this point. I'm in and out of sleep. It's kind of seeming like a dream, but it's just 1 minute they're taking my money, the next minute the doctor says I paid too much, next minute they want more, and then they're telling me I got to go. They're saying, "Well, you got to leave," because I said I'm done with the money. You got it all. So they said, "You got to go." Now, at this point, I think I'd been there one night. I was in ICU. Um, the language barrier was a problem, but they were telling me to leave. And I said, "All right, fine." Well, it eventually got to where they took me out of ICU and put me into a regular room that was cheaper, I guess. I think I was there 2 or 3 days. I don't know for sure. I don't remember. And when I started to come out of the anesthesia and the drugs, I started realizing what was going on. And I wanted to go home. I said, I want to go. So at that point, I was aware of what was happening and I just wanted to leave. So they got the rest of my money out of me out of my bank here. I gave my bank card. They wanted more money. I think they got another $1,000. They cleaned out that account at the bank here in Costa Rica. And I got a taxi and went home. Um, the care was excellent. I have no issues with the care, but as I began to think about what happened, I began to investigate it and found out that it shouldn't have been any more than maybe 20,000 at the most, and they got 54,000 out of me. I then met with legal advice, and they said it was a medical fraud, and we need to take some legal action. And that's where it stands
So
right
that's the
now.
status of things right now. You're just waiting for the legal system to, your case
Right,
to work its way through the legal
right.
system. So, but your health is good now.
Yes, the care was excellent, top
Okay.
of the line.
Okay.
I would just advise, number one, don't be alone. Number two, don't take anything with you.
Okay.
Don't take cash with you. Don't take credit cards because they maxed out everything. I mean, they took advantage.
So even if you don't have any kind of health insurance, you could still be treated and just pay what you owed the hospital and the doctors or any staff, any kind of procedures that you had. You could just pay for that later.
Yes.
You could be treated even if you don't have the health insurance. They'll treat you. You can pay later.
Yes.
So what if you had it to do over again after you went home and then went back to your doctor and then went to the hospital? You would not have taken that bag of cash and all of your credit cards.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. And take a passport, identification.
Passport
that's
and identification.
That's it.
And probably take a friend with
yes.
you, who is not has not been given drugs because they're going through a medical process, and so that they can help you remember who said what when.
Yes.
That would all be helpful. Now, most of our experiences here in Costa Rica are just absolutely delightful and positive, and we love
sure.
living here.
Sure.
And most of the medical the times that I've been to the doctor for an appointment, most of the medical appointments are very inexpensive and very professional, and I've been very pleased. But nonetheless, something can happen, and people need to be prepared for something like that to happen, especially if you don't have uh, any kind of health insurance. And a lot of people don't.
Right.
A lot of people
Right.
who have moved here don't have any health insurance, and I don't. Other than Medicare back in the United States, I don't have a health insurance, private or public. I'll eventually have public once my residency process is approved. I'll have universal health care. I just have a little bit of a discount plan. So I also have to have some cash, in case of an emergency,
Sure.
like
Sure.
Phil does or did
Did.
did have cash.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just a little bit of information that we hope you'll find helpful, but not too discouraging. You just need to be prepared for different sets of circumstances. So now, Phil, you have lived in Costa Rica how long?
8 years.
And all of it here in Grecia, or?
No, I lived at the beach in Flamingo for 5 years, 3 years here in Gracia.
And for the most part, you love living in
Oh
Grecia.
yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, Gracia is beautiful. The beach is too hot,
Uh-huh.
but the mountains are beautiful. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for
Sure.
talking with us today. And for those of you who are watching, if you have additional information or alternative information to add, please put it in the comment section so that we may continue to learn all we can from one another about moving to Costa Rica and retiring in Costa Rica. Pura Vida, ciao.
Thank you.